Well, today we've got a great treat. We've got Rick Torbett of Better Basketball. He's here to talk about his brand new course, the Read and React Zone Attack. So, Coach, I want to dive right into this and get into this information. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Tom, thanks for having me. I'm pumped.
Coach, I know that your mind's always working. You have coming up with new ideas and ways to help players and coaches. Give us a little bit of a history because we've all seen articles or coaches talk about how to attack a zone defense. But I know you take a really deep dive into how to attack any zone. So give us some history of how this whole thing came about.
Well, it stems out of the read and react offense, but for the viewers, I want you to know you don't have to be able to run the read and react or even be familiar. You'll be fine. You'll benefit from this course. But the read and react originally, my intention was it could be run against player to player or zone. And then as it got out among our coaches, I found out that the coaches wanted a little more guidance. It was just so far as the plan of attack, it was not as clearly defined. And if players are players and coaches, if they're not quite sure, they don't move with aggressive and decisive feet. Their feet move slow. So I was always looking, like you say, and then about 3 years ago, I had a local friend running the Read and React, wanted to help him with his zone attack. And I said, great, how much time do I have? And he said, you got one practice. Necessity is the mother of invention, right? So
Sure.
I set up my cameras because I wanted to kind of critique myself. I didn't think I was going to make it into a course or anything. And I tried to simplify it as much as I could, because I only had like 1 hour in one day, and they're playing the next day against the zone. And so of all the things that you can do against the zone, I concentrated on how can you shoot a layup against the zone, because most don't believe it. Most don't believe you can shoot layups against zones. You can if you create a 2-on-1 where the defender, regardless of their choice, is wrong. Well, without getting into too much detail, had some success there. And I thought, simplifying this, I'm getting some really good return on this. So I turned it into a small course at betterbasketball.com. It was called Simplified Zone Offense, the Fantastic Foursome. Big, long title, but it was a small course. And over these last 3 years, Coach, I've had coaches come up to me in the clinics in fall and spring and tell me, that little course you sent out to make us focus on getting that layup against zones. Yeah, hey, our opponents won't play a zone anymore. They default to player, and I thought, something, we're on to something. I need to pursue it. But I guess, Tom, before we get into details, what excited me was I saw a way to fold a three-prong attack together in that real simple form.
So, Coach, when I hear you say simple approach, three-pronged attack, I'm thinking, that sounds awful basic. I want to make sure I'm going to get some information out of this. So give us a little bit more there of what you mean by this simple approach and a three-pronged attack.
It is meant to be simple, because anybody can make something complicated. You can keep adding options and options and options until a player is, there's paralysis by analysis, okay? Right now, most zone attacks, they look too simple to me. Traditionally, it's let's space around the perimeter, pass the ball around, and hopefully we'll knock down a 3 or 2 and run them out of the zone. That seems oversimplified and only a one-pronged attack. What happens if you can't hit that 3 or several threes that run them out of the zone? What are you left to go to? I think you always need a counter. So the three-pronged attack is the idea behind that. Really, Tom, it's just two, okay? Two main ones. I tried to make the course and teach it and transfer it the same way you're going to with your players. Look, if I'm teaching one-on-one, I don't teach you, and you're a ranked beginner in basketball. I don't teach you 25 one-on-one moves. I teach you one go-to move. We learn that. We make the defense guard it. If they don't, you're going to shoot a layup. And then when the defense stops, because you know they will, I've got to teach you a counter move. So now at least you've got move, counter move, and that's the basis of the entire game, even if it's 5-on-5, is you're going after a move. If defense counters, you better have a counter move, okay? Well, our move, and that's the title of the chapter, our go-to move is to create a 2-on-1 in the zone and shoot a layup, which a lot of coaches just don't believe you can. And when the defense stops it, we have a counter move. Now, that counter move, Coach, which involves screening the zone, screening those who are packed in zone. When I say one counter move, okay, there's lots of there's a big sub-menu under that, because there's lots of angles and lots of places that you can set those screens. Now, let's keep this simple. The third line of attack there, if it's a three-legged attack, is this. When you're doing the move and the go-to move and the counter move, when you're doing those two things and you learn how to go from one to the other, because that's what got me excited, to be able to fit those two together in such a way that the team can just flow from one to the other. You're going to break – the defense is going to make too many decisions, and they're going to break down, and that third leg is your team's ability to take advantage of these incidental points. Let me give you a real simple one. Okay. You're taking the ball inside with your attempt for a layup. The zone collapses. You throw the ball inside out. Well, as you know, that's a much higher percentage three-point shot than just an ordinary off the dribble three or an east-west pass three, or something like that. So I call those type of points, the points you get while you're moving the ball, moving players, keeping your spacing. I call those incidental points. And you might score more on those than you do on the move and the counter move.
So, Coach, do I have to have a highly skilled team? Is this for more advanced or older players to run this offense?
Another great question. And this speaks to the way I try to put together all of our courses, because I know I've been doing this 17 years, and I reach a range of coaches that go from the beginners, youth that don't know anything about anything, up to the highest levels. And so I've got to accommodate those, okay? And so a youth team might only use the elementary parts of the go-to move. But it's going to be the same thing that the highest level team is going to do, okay? Now, what do high-level teams, what are they running up against? They're running up against high-level defense. Look, when you're teaching a youth team, your offense really is a function of the level of defense that you're running up. You don't need, a whole bunch of counter moves and pin and skips against, when your 10-year-olds are running up against a zone. You need only the first part of this course.
So, Coach, why do we, and I'm asking you because you have experience coaching all over the world, you've been doing this for a long time, why do we as coaches, or why do our teams become so stagnant as soon as another team goes into a zone defense? I blame us as coaches, not necessarily the players go stagnant. I think that's a reflection of us. But why does that happen, you think?
Now, this goes back again. What was it that pushed me down the road of creating the Read and React? Was towards the end of, about my 15th, 16th year of coaching, my assistant coach asked me about why I was playing, who I was playing at the end of the game, and And I said, well, that was our best point guard. That was our best post player. That was our best slasher, our three-man. And he said, yeah, but why can't we just put the best 5 basketball players on the floor? And as you start thinking about that, I just couldn't get that out of my mind. Like, why haven't I? Because I'm locked into what I've been taught in my tradition. So now, how does all that tie into this zone offense? I think, and you're going to see in the course, you need to examine what zones are trying to do. Okay, you got to understand zone defense if you're going to take advantage of a zone offense. Okay, and I know I get a lot of, "Oh, you're an offensive-minded guy." Yeah, I am, but you can't be that if you don't understand defense. How can you have an offensive mind? Okay, now Tom, this stems from a philosophy I picked up from your college coach, the late, great Don Meyer, who said, defense can take away some things, but they can't take away everything. And that's a core belief of mine. Now, let me expound on that. Defense will take away something, but they give up something when they do, okay? So if they're going to take away layups, let's do something simple. If they're going to pack the lane, then they give up the perimeter, right? They extend themselves to the perimeter, they're going to give up something inside. And so there is this question you've got to ask yourself as a coach: what is it that you're giving up, and how can I exploit what you're giving up? Okay, so maybe I can give you an idea with that if we take an elementary look at our go-to move. What do you think?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Go out, they extend themselves to the perimeter, they're going to give up something inside. And so there is this question you've got to ask yourself as a coach: what is it that you're giving up, and how can I exploit what you're giving up? Okay, so maybe I can give you an idea with that if we take an elementary look at our go-to move. What do you think?
Yeah. Sure, Coach, that'd be great.
All zones, and we wind up showing this. I'll start out with something like a 1-3-1 even. Okay. And again, understanding zones, right? Oh gosh, for years, Coach, I had a different zone play for every type of zone defense that was out there. So now you've got, let's see, 1-2-2, 1-3-1, 3-2, 2-1-2, 2-3, and then every variation you can play off that, whether it's aggressive or not, or soft or hard or hot. There's at least 5 different offenses my players have to memorize. Okay, no wonder they were paralyzed. Okay, but if you understand that once the ball reaches the outer 1/3 of the court, all zones fall, slide. Like in a 1-3-1, this opposite wing has to slide here for the weak side. Center of the zone plugs the hole. They're the goalie. The point player becomes the top weak side, and all zones, regardless of their initial formation when the ball is up here, they will fall into a 2-3 or 2-on-2 formation when the ball is out here. So that should simplify your attack. You should say, well, if I can just beat when the ball is in the outer 1/3, if I can learn how to create something good for our team against a 2-3 or 2-on-2, then that covers all zones. So that's the basis, elementary basis of our first go-to move. Now, if let me just throw some ifs out there.
Sure.
Okay? And nothing works every time. Let me just preface that, okay? It might do the coaches good to kind of look into the philosophy of the redirect, and it is that I believe nothing works every time in basketball, so you need to continue to attack and move the ball, move the players until defense breaks down. And just like in offense, nothing works every time. In defense, nothing works every time. The moment you hear a coach say, we always stop, my doubt antenna goes up. Okay, when I hear the word always. All right. So let me take an if here. Okay. And if we had a player in the short corner, which we call the flank because it's behind, coming in from behind a zone, like a military term. You're attacking from behind in a weak part. Short corner, flank. And if we had a player, let me just move this one here, which is up here where the logo, just below the free throw line, extended maybe down to that slash, certainly not down to the big block, but right in there in that strip, the logo, which we decided to call that the nail, because we're shooting for one syllable words, Tom. We're working with basketball players here.
Gotcha. And coaches. And coaches.
And coach, just kidding. See, I wanted to be able to turn those words into imperatives, to be able to say, let's nail them and let's flank them. Your flank is open, nail's open. I got to be able to say something, a single word that has a complex, but it builds an action in their mind. They can picture what this means, okay, with a single word. Well, if I could get players there, and we'll come back and talk about getting players there. And here's another if I could get this corner defender to play the ball. So let's do something like this. Here we go. I'll cheat a little bit. Let's just say I could get this corner defender to come out and play the ball. Then what we do is we create a 2-on-1 with the center of the zone. Here's what I mean. If this player passes here, the center of the zone must take it, and that leaves the flank open for a touch pass for a layup. Okay?
Okay.
Let's go back. If you pass to the flank, the center must take and will take. If not, they'll score. And your nail steps. And we call that flanking them for a layup. Does it work every time? Of course not. But I don't need it to work every time. Does anything in your offenses work every time? Absolutely, of course not. Does driving to the goal always work? No, it doesn't work. Does drive, draw, pitch work? Does your ball screens always work? No, nothing works every time. I just need to threaten the rim with a layup, and all I need to do is get a handful of these a game, and it will run. It's like a dunk. It'll run teams out of the zone. Now, my point is, it's not that this center of the zone is a bad player. It's just they're going to be wrong, regardless of which player they take here. Okay, and why? It's just because we've created 2-on-1. Now there are other places, Coach, that we could create 2-on-1s against zones. And maybe I'll show you one, but it doesn't lead to a layup. This particular 2-on-1 leads to a layup. Now, so your next question is, okay, well, yeah, how do I get these players in here? Well, you could just go set up in there, but there's no cleverness to that. The defense will mark them, adjust, keep up with them, and that type of thing. And back to your question, you may not have – the difference between these two players and these three may be minimal. You may not have someone that these may be interchangeable, or four of them may be interchangeable. So what we do in this course is I show you multiple ways, real simple ways, actually just using 2 layers, 2 actions in the read and react, just 2. Okay, so if you don't know the read and react, you are going to learn at least 2. Actually, you'll learn 3, but you're going to learn the first 2, which are very basic, okay? And we can, with those 2, we can get players into these 2 spots and continually change them as the ball moves around the perimeter.
All right, so now you say continually change them. That mean those 2 guys are changing, or are you going to change all 5 spots?
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Again, this is one of what I'm about to show you, Coach. I'll just start from right there. is one of five basic ways to do this, and in each of those are some tweaks that would probably work out to be 3 or 4 more. There may be 8 to 10 ways to do this. Very simple way. So let me start with just one of them. Now you know why that's that. Getting
Right.
players in here and out of there constitutes an entire chapter with an entire submenu. Why? I'm not trying to complicate. I'm trying to accommodate coaches with different types of players and different types of teams. So let me just go from right there. If all of these players were interchangeable, let's start there. Our rule is when the ball is passed or dribbled at a player, and I'll cover that in a minute. Let's just take pass. So you passed to here, okay? Whoever's in the flank must fill out, okay? So they're going to start filling out to an empty spot. Whoever's in the nail will fill the flank. And whoever passed fills the nail. Now, that means that again, we'll teach you the first layer of the redirect, which is empty spots have to be filled. So that player fills up. Now, just take a look at this. Let me step back and take a look. That's the same. Even though the ball's up here, we've got the same 2 windows that we're kind of looking at. We've got someone in the nail. We've got someone in the flank. It wouldn't matter, by the way, whether this player's here or here when the ball's up top. If you throw it in here, let's say this player, hang on just a second. Let's say this player took the ball when the pass went up here, and before this player could get back in here, we were able to feed our nail. Again, what's the center of the zone going to do? That's their responsibility. They'll take it. And we're looking to score with this before this player can get back in here. By the way, Coach, the reason that a flank is behind the zone is many times that zone defender's right there, and they just never see it. This player just steps where the ball can be delivered to them, right in the gap. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's over here, but it's just behind, and it's a layup. Now, let's go on from there, though. Let's say that's not open. See, that's huge, Coach, because what I just said was it didn't work. We failed. It's not open. Right. Nothing works every time. So it wasn't open from there. So let's say, I'll show you one more thing in redirect. If we dribble at this person, that person must cut as if they had passed the ball. So let's do this slowly. This player's got to fill that empty spot. This player's got to cut. Where are they cutting to? They're cutting to the nail. What's this player doing? We're finished with them. See, on the next ball movement, the flank fills out. Whoever's in the nail fills the flank. This player dribbled that, cuts the nail. And we're right back to looking at, now just depends on, can this player move from here to here? Or does it force this corner player to come up and play? If so, guess what? If that happens, and it will, if you move the ball, you're going to have 2-on-1 in there. Boy, I had another thought, and it just went right out of my brain that a point I wanted to make with you. That's okay. Go ahead. You got a question about that?
Okay, yeah. Now I see that, and we've got a couple layups. So,
hey, Tom, can I interrupt you?
Yes, you sure can.
Remember that question, because I just thought of it.
Okay.
That you could get these 2 spots, like I say, just sticking 2 players in there and letting them stay in there. But what I just showed you is moving players in and out, changing positions as the ball moves. It's actually an ever-changing 3-out, 2-in. And that's difficult for defenders to mark, to keep up with. Who's coming in, who's going out, who's sliding where, there's someone behind me, they're going out, they're coming in. That's the kind of decisions that I want the zone to make. Okay, go ahead. Give me your question.
Well, I like that, because now all of a sudden, like you're saying, If I know I've got post players in my area, I kind of know who I'm guarding. But you're saying you're going to run a different player through there all the time. I would think that'd be really, really difficult for teams, like you're saying, to comprehend and guard.
Right. And by the way, if there are passes that have to be made like this, like a pass from here to this player,
Mm-hmm.
who's some of your better passers on your team? It's not post players, right?
Right.
Bigs. It's other players that typically play on the perimeter. So I want good passers in there. Go ahead.
So, all right. So I'm seeing that, and okay, you've scored 3 layups on me 3 times in a row. We're not going to come out of the zone, but now we're going to start to pack it in. So how do you attack that if the team's just going to pack it in?
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen. I would.
Right.
If you're doing this against me, I'm not going to allow you to – I'm not going to stay out there and pressure the balls. I'm going to start packing it. I'm going to start, hey, make sure you two, like, this guy's got to rotate down. Maybe this guy, I'll work on some kind of rotation, or I'll just play this thing tight like this, okay? So that – now, what are you giving up? You're giving up the ability to move the ball on the perimeter. I mean, you can move it with impunity now, okay? Because, again, they're taking away something. What are they giving up? Well, we've got to make them pay for this, all right? And this comes straight out of the read and react, because this is what we do against player-to-player defenses that have deep and good weak side help. See, actually, we're going to counter and punish very good defenders. We're going to make them pay for playing very good defense, okay? There are 2 in all zones when the ball's on the outer 1/3. There are 2 players that are in 2 positions. They're in a high weak side position up in here, that player, and a low weak side position. Usually their feet are in the lane. They are there by design. They're not there by principle. They're there by assignment. You can count on it. I don't care what kind of zone it is. Once the ball's over here, these 2 will be there. Now, their assignment is if the ball gets over to this side of the floor, let's talk about their assignment. If the ball is here in this area, it's this player's assignment. If the ball's down here, it's this player's assignment. That's just basic stuff. Everybody knows that that's run a zone. So what we want to do is we want to set a pin screen like this, and we call it verbally so this player knows to go, okay? And what we're trying to do on this skip pass is headed there, is we're going to delay this player returning to their assignment, getting to the ball, because that's their assignment, okay? Now, you can't keep them from getting there, but you can certainly delay it long enough that you might get this. You might force this player to come out and talk and rotate out of their position. At the very least, you're going to get some kind of desperate closeout, and you're going to buy time for this player. Now, I know what most are thinking watching this. They're saying, well, I don't have a great three-point shooter. Well, that's an assumption. See, you're assuming that that's why we're doing this pin and skip. Now, look, if you've got a great – see, I'm already salivating because I want to be that player right there.
Right.
I know what I'll do, okay? It's shoot first, okay?
Yep.
But if you don't have this kind of player, all right, if you don't have that kind of player, why would you be doing that? What if that is the worst shooter on your team, okay? All right? Any kind of closeout, desperate closeout, you can drive. It's easier to drive closeouts. By the way, I hate to keep saying this, but look, in the read and react, it's one of our scoring opportunities in layer 1.
Okay.
And it's called killing closeouts. When people close out on you, you've got a green light to drive, in my opinion. So, by the way, if this player was to drive, where's the help defense? It's got to come from over here. You've got an empty, what we call real estate over here, okay? But let's go back. I want to show you the simplest thing, okay? And it's this. We pin and skip in order to get back to that layup threat, So whoever sets the pin screen, they might be open right there. Once the ball goes over their head, you might just throw to them there and it's over with. You got your layup. If they do not, did you hear that? If they do not, we failed. It didn't work. It's okay. It's okay. If it doesn't work, this player's going to the flank. Our very first layer, if you pass, you've got to cut. This player's the one that made the skip pass. They're cutting to the nail. These players just release and fill their empty spots. Excuse me, I lost a player. I think he subbed out. He wanted to sub out. All right, there he is. Get back in there. Okay? Check this out, Coach. We're right back where we were in the beginning, okay? We performed our counter move, and hopefully what we're doing is cracking this zone open again and creating this 2-on-1. And we're right back to the layups. Hey, and before I forget it, this number of layups that you need to make, okay? And then I'll take your next question. This number of layups. Last year, I'm up in Canada, and I happened to come across the great Mike McKay, okay? Just an absolute basketball savant.
Right.
If you ever get a chance to pick his brain, he's just unbelievable, okay? So I see him. I'm doing a clinic up there, and he stops by, and so when we go out to eat, and I say, hey, give me your one big thought from last year. I know he's got 1,000. Right. I said, your one big thought. We've only got time for supper. What is it? If you had to pick one. And he kind of stroked his chin. He said, I've been examining stats on all levels, and here's what I've found. Inside the restricted area, right here, if we were to call a shot right there, without contact, clean, layup. Think fast break, breakaway, clean layup. Think about someone rebounding, putting the ball right back in there with no contact. He said, something a third grader could make. If you can score, this is what his stats are telling me, if you score 6 more of those than your opponent at the end of the game, you win. And he challenged me to watch games and keep a running score between the two, keep a running tally between teams. And just find an example where that was false. I haven't yet. Now, if it's less than 6, it's anybody's game. But like if one team has 11 of those and the other team has 4 of those or 5 of those, the one with 11, there's a difference of 6, they win. Now, why am I telling you this? All right. Everybody's trying to run the floor and get a third grade shot in transition. Everybody's trying to offensive rebound and get a put back here and there, okay? Everyone tries to dribble drive to the rim and get there and get that shot. Everybody does that. So you're not doing anything different. You've got to at least do those well just to keep up with the other team. It's still even. How do you get 6 more? See, over the course of a game, it's 3 of these per half. So I don't want you to think you got to get, 50 layups in here. We're just talking about, can you, in the course of your zone attack, can you get 3 more layups against the zone per half? If so, stats say you win.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah.
So you and I both worked with coaches of all levels. So I'm watching all this and seeing all this. So I'm thinking about, whether it be a parent coaching his kid's team, I want to practice once a week, or he's got a full-time job, or the high school coach who's got full day of teaching, or even college who's got recruiting, all this different stuff. This seems really, I would think, to implement that really, really big. So is there a way you can break it down for a coach to where they have a step-by-step process to go through this?
Yeah, that's and if I had a chance to pull up the menu, you would see that I put the course together. It's just impossible for me to not put it together this way. I taught math for 20 years. I coached for 20 years, and I just happen to think this way. As I'm putting together the course, I'm thinking of what you just said. That's going through my mind. So our chapters and the outline of each chapter is set up in a step-by-step process. Now, I told you there were 8 chapters, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first chapter simply gives you this 3-pronged strategy in the simplest of terms. Big picture. Here it is. Here's where we're going. Boom, done. The next 2 chapters covers what I've just covered on the board in a step-by-step process. Hey, what kind of team do you have? Da, da, da. Here's how we get players doing this, okay? And really, right there, we're done. I mean, you could go and play. You wouldn't even need to watch the rest of the course. So what's the rest of the course about? Well, it's about the incidental points and how to create them and recognize them and drill them. It's about the numerous ways that you could get players into these 2 positions, you know. Maybe you've got a player that needs to stay inside the whole time, you know. And that way, these 4 only visit the nail and then they fill out. All kinds of things. There's personnel adjustments. Well, if you have this kind of player and this kind of player, where would this be best? There's a chapter on the best ways to train and teach your players how to set pin screens from every angle. The best. There is a chapter just on drills and practice plans.
Oh, so, that's great.
Thanks.
And so what you're saying again is I don't have to have that dynamite, a ball handler or really good score post player or even maybe a knockdown shooter to run this offense.
Yeah, I can't look, when you cut me, I bleed read and react. Okay. And read and react is a positionless system. So I want a zone attack. Now, again, I probably shouldn't spend so much time on the read and react because if you don't run it, it's okay. You're still going to be able to benefit from this course. What Coach Kelsey is saying is, what he's alluding to is this zone attack is done by committee. It's done by everybody, okay? So I don't go into it with a need to have this kind of a player and this kind of a player and this kind of a player. Now, if you've got players that can't pass it and catch it on the move, then yeah, it's going to be tough. Okay. It just means you're going to have to break down and do some fundamental work with your team. But I'm assuming you can do the basic skills of basketball.
Okay.
Move from this spot to this spot.
Yeah. Now, let's say I have a really good player and I want to get him or her shots. And make sure they're getting shots, and I don't want to be equal opportunity. So how do I take advantage and make sure my best girl or my best boy is getting the shots they need to get?
Oh, excellent. You know what you just reminded me of, Tom, is the first coaching clinic I went to. Now, if you remember, 1979, we got our head handed to us, okay? So I thought, maybe I don't know as much about this game as I thought. I think I should go to a clinic. So my first clinic is in 1980, I think it was, 80, 81, something. And I'm there looking for a zone offense.
Okay.
And this coach who was runner-up for the NCAA championship that year is speaking on it. Now, look, I'm a young guy. I'm not keeping up with names and this, you know. Yeah, I watched TV, but I was totally immersed in our season. It was my first coaching season. So I'm barely aware of who the coaches are and the teams are. And what he said was, he said, we spread the floor. And by the way, this is good spacing, right? And we have this one player who's inside. And as we move the ball, this player moves around inside. And, you know, we keep moving the ball and we let this player – and if this player gets it here, here's his options, da-da-da-da-da. You know, if he draws this person, there's someone stepping here. If he does this, he passes. I am taking voluminous notes on this, okay? I mean,
all right.
It's just, I can see who's going to do that back in Chattanooga, Tennessee. You know, I'm already picturing it, right? So at the end of his clinic, he says, you know, there's a Q&A. First question goes up. some coach says, oh, he called this player in here the rover because he roves around inside the zone. And they said, who is your rover? And he said, Larry Bird. Yeah, and I just kind of like started crumbling my notes up, going, okay, I think I understand this offense. You four stay out of the way. Let Larry run around in here until he gets the ball. He'll do something good with it, and then we'll say that's option B. That's option A.
Right.
Now, actually, that's not bad. All right, I'm making a little fun at this. I mean, the guy was runner-up national championship that year, But anyway, let's talk about how we could do that, how we could take advantage of a Larry Bird.
Okay.
Right? All right. Let's go. Hey, just for the sake of variety, let's go to these spots and play 2 guards, 2 wings, 2 corners. 6 spots for perimeter players. You don't have to, but you might. Some people like that versus the 5 spots, and that's fine. Doesn't matter. Okay. This player can go where, and this is in the chapter on the go-to move and the different ways to get players into these. We're going to give this guy the freedom to go wherever Larry wants to go. Okay? So if Larry's in the nail, when these players pass or dribble or give out the ball, well, I'm Butterfingers today. Okay. Where does this player go? And every time I ask players this, they answer it correctly the first time. I say, look, if Larry Bird can go where he wants to go in here and he's in the nail, where are you going to go now that you understand our go-to move? And they'll kind of hesitate and they'll go, I guess we're going wherever Larry is not. Right? Yeah, I said, that's right. If Larry's here, you're cutting to the flank. And we're filling. Let's just stay on these 5 spots here. Okay. Let's say that Larry decided to be in the flank. Okay. When this player passes, they're going to the nail. Okay. Now, so these 4 are coming in one time, posting up one time, either nail or flank, wherever Larry's not. On the next pass, they're filling out. So this allows a great player sometimes. Let me give you an example on this. So this player passes here. We decide to go to this side. All right. And this player is filling out. Okay. Because this player is coming in like this. Okay. And Larry doesn't move. Larry is waiting. He's a smart player, or she's a smart player. She's waiting on this player to draw the zone and make the zone shift. Now these players are filling. Larry lets the zone shift first. So maybe this player comes in and calls for the ball, eager receiver right there in the nail, because Larry's in neither one of these. It's their choice. They stop there. And it sucks the defense in, okay? So, well, now that Larry can see where the zone is shifted to, that tells him where to flash to, okay? And when you get someone like that, the ball on the baseline behind the zone, not only do they become a passer to this player stepping to the nail, but they can make moves there and finish and score. So sometimes that player flashes first. Sometimes they let the zone shift and flash second. You just let the smart player do their thing. And these 4, it's pass, cut, dribble out, fill. One spot Larry's not in, and then get back out on the perimeter, look to set pin screens, that type of thing. Very simple.
Yeah. No, that's
a
good.
simpler plan of attack.
Sure. That's good. Well, you and I have both been to a lot of clinics, and we've watched a lot of DVDs. Now, is there a way, because again, taking all this in, I'm looking at this and I've watched the videos. What about a way to keep up to date? Or because, things are fluid and things are going to change throughout the year. So
Right.
what chance do I have as a coach to, I don't know, maybe get feedback or continue to grow? I'm afraid just watching it one time. I know when I watch a clinic once, I always want more. So is there a way for me to get more?
Right. Excellent. Well, let me address that a couple of ways. One, I haven't even said this, so I probably need to say it. Look, this course is found at betterbasketball.com.
Okay.
If you go there, you can just put in a search and search for Zone Attack, and you'll see it. You could buy it as a one-time purchase, and you've got it forever, video on demand. All you do is log in with your username, password. If you've got Wi-Fi, you can watch it on anything. You watch it on your phone, watch it on your iPad, watch it on your computer. As long as you got a Wi-Fi connection, you can't lose it, can't degrade. All right. But the best, in my humble opinion, the best situation is to, when you go to betterbasketball.com, get an all-access membership pass.
Okay.
This allows you to watch everything. It's like Netflix, okay? You're paying a fee, and you can watch everything. Now, what we have in there is 17 years worth of videos, okay? I don't think you could watch all of it in a single year if you were watching something every day. Pretty sure, okay? But the reason I would want you to be a member is we are constantly, like we're holding webinars, something like what you and I are doing now, okay?
Right.
We log in with a whole bunch of coaches that are, say, we'll have a zone webinar, okay? It's this coming month, okay? And we'll take questions and answers, and we'll get other coaches' solutions. We'll put, we'll use the board. We'll share screen and watch video. Now, those are free, but if you miss them, if it's not being shown at your time, see, we take those and put them in our vault for our all-access members so that you can stay on the cutting edge of what's going on. And I look, this is an open-ended course. In other words, as I find new things that work better, drill a different way of doing a certain thing. Oh, look, zones are adjusting and doing this. When we find their solution, all I do is upload it, and it's automatically in your library. So I couldn't encourage you more to just come join, taste. Just come get a taste of what it's like to be a part of our tribe.
Well, and you and I are both thieves and like to get the ideas of other coaches. So is there a way to know some of the other people that are running the offense so I can kind of maybe get some ideas? Because, I always like to, ask somebody, okay, what have you done with this offense? How have you used this with your team? Maybe it's not a coach in my league. Most of the times they're not going to share that. But maybe it's a coach I know in my league. Or is there a way to know other people that are running the same offense?
Well, that's back to the webinar thing. That's what we're trying to do and working on doing is pulling in. That's why I say we'll have a theme of we've got a theme coming up, Coach. I'm working on right now, trying to get a date for this. We've already set dates. We just haven't announced them yet through social media or on our tribe site. We're having a series of webinars for those putting the Read and React in for the first time. See, we're picking the theme.
Yeah.
And so we're bringing in the actual coaches will be panelists, and they'll be sharing their problems, they'll be picking each other's brains. They'll be answering people's questions. So we'll be doing the same thing with everything on our side. We'll be doing the same thing with zone. We'll have a zone attack only webinar, and we'll take your questions, your answers, your problems you're running up on, and it's not just me like it is now. We get to stand on the shoulders of coaches all around, and when we do, you'll get to find out where these coaches are.
Okay. And you said tribe. Now I know that you've used that term before, so explain to us a little bit about what it means to be part of the tribe.
Well, we use that to as a name for all the coaches that are just a part of Better Basketball. Okay. more specifically, most of them that consider themselves part of the tribe run the Read and React. You know, they're fans of the Read and React.
Yeah.
And so we have, if you go on the website, betterbasketball.com, you'll see a tribe tab, and there we load articles, pictures, stories of other coaches. That's where you can get details. If there's a thought that I want to share, an article, that kind of thing, then we post them there. It's kind of our social media page, you know. But we're always trying to do something. I want to take care of our tribe.
Yeah.
So like when we go to coaching clinics, we usually have discounts and special events and that type of thing for anybody that's a part of our tribe. Well, how do you know you're part of our tribe? Well, it's pretty easy. We can look you up by username and password. That's easy. Or not password, but username.
All right. So again, for that coach who's watching this, what's the next step? I like this. I want to get more. I do what you said. Try it. I want to try it. So what's my next step?
Your next step is go to betterbasketball.com and go to Zone Attack and watch the free preview.
Okay.
And then from there, you can make your decision out. Now, we're trying to make this an easy decision for you. The course itself is about $200. All right. All access membership is $249. So do you want one course, or do you want everything that we've got? Anything that's even related to Zone or Zone Attack, the Read and React, anything, practice plans. I've got courses called, like one of the courses called the first day of practice, showing me taking a team completely through their first day of practice, how to take the first layer of the Read and React and have a working offense, the best shell defense, a press breaker, transition, out of bounds, and an ability to maintain a lead at the end of the game, all in one in the first day of practice. So you would get support for the Zone Attack.
Now, what is the best way for a coach out there that want to connect with you on social media? What's the best way for someone out there to connect with you?
Oh, just look at, in fact, you can go to Better Basketball and find these, betterbasketball.com, but my Twitter is at Rick Torbett.
Okay.
But we've also got a Twitter account, Better Basketball, at BTR Basketball.
Okay.
And then we've got a Facebook page and you know, everything else like that. Just I would just go to betterbasketball.com and look for those social media links.
Great. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time today. This has been extremely informative. I know a lot of coaches want to go get the course right away. They want to sign up. So we just remind them, like I said, go to betterbasketball.com. And we're looking forward to your next webinar and seeing you out there on social media. I know coaches are going to benefit a tremendous amount with this new concept of thinking of how to attack a zone defense.
Well, thanks, Tom. And I'll tell you, Tom, do you agree with this or not? Should youth teams, I'm talking about beginners, just whatever you think of when you hear youth teams, do you think youth teams should be allowed to run zone defenses?
Allowed? No. I don't think it's the best practice. I don't think it's the best thing for kids.
I don't either. So here's my point. We can't delegate that. We can't say zones are outlawed while you're developing and learning the game, right?
Sure.
But what if we had a zone attack that made it worse on teams playing zones, okay? Where they said, you know something? It's better for all of us if we were just to play, you know, player to player rather than zones, we'd get killed. It could change how we develop. So
that's great.
That's another reason for another motivation for making this work for coaches. Hey, Tom, I really appreciate the interview.
Yep.
I'm
going to start watching games and charting, see who gets 6 more of those layups close to the basket, my team and other teams. I'm going to start watching that.
I challenge you. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Awesome. All right, Coach. You have a great day.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.